and most importantly, the brave law enforcement.
Hello quý vị và các bạn thân mến. Thì cuối cùng thì sau ngày 6 tháng 1 cho đến bây giờ thì Tổng thống Trump mới xuất hiện trước public, trước công chúng, trước người dân. Thì sau đây tôi xin chia sẻ với các bạn một cái buổi nói chuyện trực tiếp tại thành phố Alamo của tiểu bang Texas. Thì Tổng thống Trump đã đến đây để thăm cái bức tường biên giới cũng như là để phát biểu. Thì sau đây mình nghe coi Tổng thống Trump phát biểu những cái gì các bạn nhé. Mời các bạn theo dõi nhé. Và nếu các bạn thấy cái video nó hay á, thì các bạn bấm nút chia sẻ để mọi người cùng nghe Tổng thống Trump phát biểu các bạn. Thì đây cũng là một cái cách mà mình chia sẻ cho Tổng thống Trump cũng như là chia sẻ cho cái channel của Tony luôn các bạn nhé. Bây giờ nếu các bạn thấy thông tin nó hay thì cứ việc nhấn nút chia sẻ.
We took on the cartels, the coyotes, and the special interests, and we restored the rule of law. For years, politicians ran for office promising to secure the border only to get elected and to do the absolute exact opposite. They even promised a wall, if you remember. About 10 years ago, they promised a wall, but they couldn't get it built. It wasn't easy getting it built. Getting it financed was tough. Getting it built was even tougher. All the different chains of title and all the different things we had to go through.
Các bạn nghe rõ hay là hình ảnh có rõ thì cho Tony xin số 1 để Tony biết các bạn nhé.
You remember that better than anybody, right? And they never got it done. They never ever completed the task. And then ultimately the money was sent back to the federal government. Spent, but no wall was built. But unlike those who came before me, I kept my promises. And today we celebrate an extraordinary milestone, the completion of the promised 450 miles of border wall. 450 miles. Nobody realizes how big that is.
Tổng thống Trump nói là trong mấy cái chính quyền vừa qua đó các bạn, người ta nói là người ta sẽ xây cái bức tường biên giới, nhưng mà người ta không bao giờ xây, lấy tiền xài nhưng mà không xây. Nhưng mà tổng thống thì tổng thống hứa là tổng thống làm, tổng thống nói là sẽ xây bức tường biên giới, cuối cùng thì đã thành công. Các bạn nha, cuối cùng thì Tổng thống Trump đã làm được những gì đã hứa với người dân, cũng như đã xây lên được cái bức tường biên giới. Và coi như là hôm nay là ngày coi như là kiểu như là chúc mừng đó các bạn, chúc mừng tường biên giới đã hoàn thành đó các bạn.
Because it's been so successful that we've added nearly 300 miles, and that's currently under construction. This was our original wish, to get these areas done where there was such trouble. And now we have it. It's either in construction or pre-construction, an additional 300 miles. In every region that we've built the wall, illegal crossings and drug smuggling have plummeted. Absolutely plummeted. In the Rio Grande Valley, crossings have dropped nearly 80%. In Yuma, Arizona, illegal entries have been slashed by 90%. Nationwide, ICE and Border Patrol have seized over 2 million pounds of fentanyl, heroin, meth, and other deadly narcotics, saving thousands and thousands of lives. We've arrested nearly 500,000 illegal aliens.
Các bạn chia sẻ cái video này về Facebook của các bạn để mọi người chúng ta cùng nhau cập nhật các bạn nhé. Để cho những bạn bè, cô, chú, bác của tụi mình cùng nhau cập nhật. Những ai mà yêu quý Dr. Love cũng như những ai ủng hộ Dr. Love thì hiện tại bây giờ là Dr. Love đang trực tiếp đó các bạn, đang trực tiếp tại thành phố Alamo, tiểu bang Texas.
Our most important reform was ending catch and release. Not easy to do. Dealing with Congress, it's very, very difficult. Which is the functional equivalent of open borders, but even worse. It's catch and release them. It means release into our country, not into another country. This policy was exploited by vicious criminal organizations who understood the laws better than our people understood them for years, to spread misery and suffering and drugs all across the hemisphere. Now, instead of catch and release, we have detain and remove. It's called detain and remove. Doesn't that sound better? One of the biggest loopholes we closed was asylum fraud. Under the old broken system, If you merely requested asylum, you were released into the country. The most ridiculous thing anyone's ever seen. And we were taking in some people that you didn't want to have in your country. We instituted a series of historic policy changes to shut down asylum fraud, and that's what we did. This includes the groundbreaking agreement with Mexico known as the Migrant Protection Protocols, or MPP. Under this agreement, if an illegal alien requests asylum, they have to wait in Mexico until their case is heard. They used to wait here, and when they were waiting, they would say bye-bye.
Yeah, probably just to make them even.
And they'd disappear somewhere into our country and essentially would never find them again, would never see them again. This one measure alone ended a humanitarian crisis and saved countless lives, and especially, I have to say, lives from crime. I want to thank the great president of Mexico. He is a great gentleman, a friend of mine, and President Obrador. He is a man who really knows what's happening, and he loves his country, and he also loves the United States. But I want to thank for his friendship and his professional working relationship. We actually had 27,000 Mexican soldiers guarding our borders over the last 2 years. Nobody thought that was possible. And they made it very, very difficult, and that's why the numbers were able to plunge even during the construction of the wall. And by the way, one of the big elements of the wall that make it so successful is we can have far fewer.
Chia sẻ video và để lại một cái like ủng hộ tinh thần buổi trưa ngày thứ ba cho Tony Lê cũng như là Dr. Love các bạn ơi. Các bạn à.
A lot of other elements they're working on because we save massive numbers of people. And included here we have the most sophisticated camera systems and most sophisticated
Sofa thì Tổng thống Trump đang nói về cái chuyện mà xây bức tường biên giới, cũng như là cái chuyện Tổng thống Trump đã cảm ơn nước bạn là cái nước sát giáp với nước Mỹ đó các bạn, tức là nước Mễ đó các bạn, đã coi như trong 2 năm vừa qua đã hơn mấy chục ngàn lính của bên đó đã giúp để mà bảo vệ cái đường biên giới đó các bạn, để cho những người nhập cư lậu cũng như là những cái chuyện mà xì ke ma túy áp viện đồ không có lọt vào nước Mỹ đó các bạn.
These gentlemen right here came to me. They said they won't take them back. They came, they may be murderers, they may be cartel heads, they may be some really vicious people. The countries didn't want them back. And I stopped all payments to those countries. I stopped everything going to those countries. And after it was stopped for about a month, you remember?
Tổng thống Trump nói là khi mà những người mà coi như nhập cư lậu vào nước Mỹ đó các bạn, thì Tổng thống Trump trả về cái nước nào đó mà cái nước đó mà không nhận lại cái người của cái nước đó thì Tổng thống Trump sẽ không có giúp cái nước đó nữa. Thành ra sau khi Tổng thống Trump đã dùng cái biện pháp như vậy đó, bây giờ đó tất cả những ai mà nhập lậu vào cái nước Mỹ á, thì Tổng thống trả về nguyên quán á, là cái nước đó phải nhận lại đó các bạn, phải nhận người lại đó. Nó tóm lại là như vậy đó các bạn nhé. Đó, các bạn nghe chưa? Tức là bắt đầu những người nào mà bị Tổng thống Trump trả về nguyên quán là cái nước nguyên quán phải nhận lại đó các bạn, phải nhận lại.
We have systematically reformed the regulatory code to return asylum to its original legal meaning and purpose, not a free ticket for entry. A recent comprehensive report by the Department of Homeland Security and Justice show how effective our reforms have been and how disastrous their removal would be. It would be a disaster for our country. I know they're thinking about removing them. I hope they don't do that. I hope they don't do that. It'll be an absolute travesty for our country. The report conclusively proves once and for all that aliens released at the border remain at large in the country and do not return home. They won't go home. And you rarely find them. It's very tough to find them. So we have aliens released in our country, many of whom are
Dẹp
serious
Tô này Nguyễn này
criminals.
nói đúng là mình share cái video này để mọi người cùng nghe tiếng nói của Tổng thống Trump, cũng như là thấy được Tổng thống Trump sau bao nhiêu ngày vắng mặt các bạn nha. Yeah.
Simply put, if you enter the United States illegally, you are apprehended and immediately, safely removed from our country. Without this core principle, there is no border, there is no law, there is no order. My administration also instituted vital public health measures on the border in response to the China virus. Under Title 42 of the U.S. Code, illegal immigrants are being promptly removed to protect the health of border agents, other migrants and local communities, and the public at large. Removing these protections would invite a public health catastrophe of epic proportions, as you probably know, in Tijuana, various parts of Mexico. The COVID, it's got about 24 names. I can call it from COVID to China virus. I can call it the plague.
Tổng thống Trump đang nói về cái bệnh dịch vật đó các bạn.
But we always call it the invisible enemy. But the invisible enemy has been very tough on Mexico. And we have areas along the border where we're in great shape because right there, because of that we're in great shape. But on the other side in Mexico, they're suffering greatly with the virus. It's been incredible what we've achieved. And we didn't do the wall because of COVID. We did the wall because of security and drugs and other things. But it turned out
Tổng thống Trump nói là Tổng thống Trump xây lên cái bức tường biên giới này là chủ yếu là để ngăn cấm người nhập cư lậu, cũng như là những cái mờ xì ke ma tí nó tuồn vào nước Mỹ này đó các bạn nhé.
I've seen what they have to endure, what they have to go through. They're tough, they're strong, and they're great patriots, great Americans. We fixed it and we secured it. We empowered our wonderful ICE and Border Patrol to fulfill their oaths and sworn officers. They became sworn officers of the law, and they love their job. It's a tough job. It's a nasty job. They're not paid what they should be paid, to be honest, but we got you up. We got you up. But these are incredibly talented people. They could probably do a lot better in terms of economics than they do here, but they love what they do and they love their country. We also put into place vital measures to protect American workers, keep out terrorists, and stop the abuse of our welfare system, where they'd come up, go on our welfare system, and live for years on American welfare without ever having a job. We also have, but we have them all the time. We have terrorists from the Middle East coming into our country through the southern border. That was before what you see right here. Because it was easier to come into our country through the southern border than it was through airports or any other means. So they'd land in South America and they'd work their way up and they'd come into our country. And these are not people from the countries that you would suspect. These are people from some very seriously dangerous places in the Middle East. And the numbers are far greater than anybody would understand, really far greater. Removing any of these measures would hamstring our workers, endanger our country, and cost taxpayers hundreds of billions of dollars a year. No matter our party, we should all agree on the need to protect our workers, our families, and our citizens of all backgrounds, no matter who they are. In particular, if our border security measures are reversed, it will trigger a tidal wave of illegal immigration, a wave like you've never seen before. And I can tell you that already waves are starting to come up from 2,000 and 1,000 and 500 miles away. We see what's coming. And they're coming because they think that it's gravy train at the end. It's going to be a gravy train. Change the name from the caravans, which I think we came up with, to the gravy train, because that's what they're looking for the gravy. This will be an unmitigated calamity for national security, public safety, and public health. It would destroy millions and millions of jobs and claim thousands of innocent lives. The policies I put into place are uniformly and strongly supported by the men and women of ICE and Border Patrol. We worked on them together, just like we did on the wall. We worked on the policies together. because nobody knows this whole world better than the incredible people right in front of me. To terminate those policies is knowingly to put America in really serious danger and to override the great career experts that have worked so hard, those from DHS. At this very moment, smugglers and coyotes are preparing to surge the border if our policies are loosened or removed. I mean, they're literally waiting, big groups of people, some of them very unsavory, I might add. This is an entirely preventable tragedy. It's waiting to happen. The safety of our nation must come before politics. We have many disagreements in the country, but we should all agree the urgent need to secure our borders, protect our homeland, and allow law enforcement to fulfill its mission without political interference. ICE and Border Patrol agents swore a sacred oath to uphold the law, and no political appointee should ever order them to violate that oath. These are real experts. They really get it. And I'll tell you who else gets it. The Hispanic population of our country gets it. Because not only did I win Texas in historic numbers, but I won border towns, which are largely Hispanic. And people were amazed to see that. And the numbers, they say, were Governor of Texas called. Greg, great guy, great governor called. He said, you had numbers that nobody's had since Reconstruction. Reconstruction means Civil War. And largely Hispanic. They understand it better than anybody, and they want law enforcement to help them live safe lives. The laws that Congress passed must be upheld. To the men and women of ICE, Customs, and Border Protection, and all across DHS, law enforcement in general, you have earned the everlasting gratitude of our nation. You have no idea how much our nation loves you and respects you. I don't think you do have an idea, but it's true. I only hope and pray that your voice will be heard, honored, heeded, and respected long into the future. God bless you, God bless law enforcement, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you. Great.